Okay, members, the sitting is resumed. It's time for questions to the Minister for Infrastructure, and we will start with a list of questions. It's just to advise that question 11 has been withdrawn. I call David Honeyford.
Principal Deputy Speaker, question 1.
Park and ride is a key enabler to improving connections, increasing public transport use, promoting sustainability and encouraging modal shift and active travel. My department has identified a list of priority bus and rail-based park and ride sites, and further potential sites will be considered within the new transport strategy and transport plans currently being developed. I am supportive of expanding our park and ride schemes where needed. However, as the capital budget for my department is less than required, I am currently considering investment plans for 24-25. As the member will be aware, public services such as infrastructure are under severe pressure as a result of over a decade of Tory cuts and austerity. Infrastructure is key to connecting our communities, and it is the bedrock upon which we should build our ambitions for delivery of radical changes to improve lives. To do this properly, it will require investment.
Call David Honeyford for supplementary.
Thank you, and thank you to the Minister for his answer of prioritisation. I recently also met with his department and TransLink as they lobbied for the extension of the park and ride at Moira, telling me that it was a priority and they wanted to deliver it quickly. It has since received full planning permission, only for DFI to give notice that DFI might want to review their own application and decision. So can the Minister give ministerial direction to stop the internal nonsense and allow TransLink to get on with providing a much needed extension to the park and ride at Moira as soon as possible? Thanks.
Thank the member for his question. I'll certainly look into it in more detail, David, and decide whether it's an answer or not, but there may be a number of issues at play here in terms of ensuring that any investment moving forward fits in with the developing transport plans that we have, and that any investment moving forward is that we have the budget to deliver it. It's quite clear, and I said in my original answer, park and rides are fantastic facilities. They take private cars off the road. They allow people easy accessible access to public transport. But for me to continue to roll out the programme of park and rides, I'm going to require capital budget to do that. And in the next number of weeks, I will be announcing my budget. And unfortunately, I am in the same position as all the departments around the executive table. We simply do not have enough budget to deliver all the plans we would wish, but I'll certainly look into the matter in greater detail for the member.
Call Cathal Boylan.
Thank you, Principal Deputy Speaker, and could I welcome the Minister's answers to date. Could I just ask the Minister, when do we expect to see the regional transport strategy and the transport plans? Cormail Margaret.
The transport plans are being developed to support the new councils as they develop their local development plans. The timing of the various transport plans across council areas reflects this. For instance, the Fermanagh and Omagh Transport Plan, North West Transport Plan and the Eastern Transport Plan have all been commenced, with evidence gathering preparatory work underway for all the remaining transport areas.
Call Cara Hunter.
Minister for his answers so far. Minister, my question pertains to Derry City Airport. Has a park and ride provision been considered for there, or is there any further updates regarding rail connectivity to the Derry Airport? Thank you.
Minister.
I have no information in front of me in relation to park and rides at Derry City Airport in terms of connectivity through the rail network. That will form part of the All-Ireland Rail Review. I hope to be able to publish that review in June. I have to do it in conjunction with my ministerial colleague in the south, so we are both working our way through the processes. I have to present it to the executive. Minister Ryan has to present it to the cabinet, but I hope to be able to do that in June.
Call John Stewart.
The Minister for his update on this important infrastructural asset. Minister, I've been contacting a number of people who have asked whether there's an opportunity to see electric vehicle charging points put into your park and ride facilities. Can you look at that to see whether it can be done by the TransLink, and if they're not willing to do it, can the space be opened up to private firms to bring those facilities within the park and ride facilities?
I understand that this proposal has been looked at before in terms of whether park and rides are the best place for charging points. And at that time the study suggested that they wouldn't have been because of the nature and length of time that vehicles stayed in the area. So you may charge one or a minimal amount of vehicles during the period of time the charger should be available for other vehicles. But I'm always happy to look at aspects or proposals where we can increase the use of electric vehicles and make them more amenable to the general public.
Call Cathy Mason.
Little.
Minister.
The A24 Ballyhinch scheme will provide a 3.1 kilometre dual carriageway bypass around the town of Ballyhinch, improving journey times and reliability, enhancing road safety and creating placemaking opportunities in the town. Due to underinvestment in major road schemes and the constrained budget position, the scheme was considered as part of the prioritisation of major schemes, and further work on the scheme was paused as part of the outworkings of that review. Any decision to proceed with the A24 Ballyhinch bypass can only be made when I'm confident that there is budget certainty for the scheme and its delivery is in line with the Department's emerging transport plans.
Call Cathy for supplementary.
And I thank the Minister for his answer. Does the Minister agree that the completion of this project would allow us to completely rethink Ballyhinch and to include more active travel routes in the area?
The simple answer to that is yes. Ballyhinch, like many significant market towns and regional towns, is suffering from traffic congestion, from traffic which may not necessarily be doing business in the town but travelling through the town. So I hope to be in a position to see a number of projects move forward, whether it's in this financial year or the next financial year, to ensure that we allow towns to get there to develop alternatives within the town. And you see the example we've recently announced for Enniskillen, and I think Ballyhinch would definitely benefit from the bypass, not only in terms of taking that traffic out of the town, but it will allow for further options in terms of active travel and placemaking within the town centre, which in itself also therefore brings business into those town centres.
Call Matthew O'Toole.
Speaker, Minister, I strongly agree. Someone who originally comes from nearby, the Ballyhinch needs a bypass as part of the pattern of congestion which stretches into my constituency in Carryduff. Do you agree that part of reducing all of that, all those emissions and all that congestion down the Saintfield Road from Carryduff onwards is extending the glider to Carryduff so that commuters from places like Ballyhinch and Downpatrick and Newcastle can get the glider from Carryduff into Belfast and their jobs? And will you commit to delivering that soon? I know you're looking at it.
The member, in a sense, has answered his own question. We are looking at extension of the glider, and for the very reasons he's outlined, it can and does reduce traffic congestion, and again meets our climate target challenges in terms of taking more and more private vehicles off the road and encouraging people to use public transport.
Call Andrew McMurray.
At Castlewelland, the commuters there that Matthew O'Toole mentions there, but can the Minister confirm the bypass will be reprioritised given the obvious safety and air quality issues in the town?
I can assure the member that the Ballyhinch bypass is being looked at in terms of the 24-25 capital budget. I hope to be in a position to announce my budget in the next number of weeks. However, I won't be able to do all the planned works I would have hoped to do in 24-25, but I am also conscious that we particularly in capital projects, and I know there's been delays to the Ballyhinch bypass, but you also have to plan a number of years ahead. So if we can't move ahead in 24-25, then I will be looking at 25-26 to get this project up and going.
Call Justin McNulty.
Using the bypasses, Minister, can you give me an update on the progress of the Armagh East and West link roads and when they will be expected to commence on site?
Last can you have no information in that regard. It doesn't
it's not related to the question.
Original question. I'm more than happy to write the member.
Yeah, could you write the member? Yeah. Thank you. I call Jerry Kelly.
Question 3, please.
Minister.
The new modern, fully accessible York Street station is a major public transport facility in North Belfast and will act as a gateway for the locality. The station has seen significant increase in footfall figures over the years, with levels projected to increase by 70,000 by 2029. The new station has been designed to be fully inclusive for all and has potential to be a catalyst for further investment in the area. It will provide access to Ulster University, Sailortown, Cathedral Quarter, City Quays, Cityside and other nearby communities. I am keen that we maximise the potential of rail to support social and economic development and the environmental sustainability of our transport system. Investment in the railway drives jobs and growth, stimulates development and regeneration, and unlocks housing supply by creating better transport links. Those links can boost access to services, jobs and education. Rail has also an important part to play in tackling the climate emergency. It has a lower environmental impact than other modes of transport, as it emits less carbon and consumes less energy. Improved rail facilities will also deliver environmental benefits by encouraging modal shift, which reduces congestion and emissions and improves safety.
Call Jerry Kelly for supplementary.
Yes, listener, I thank the Minister for his answer. I think he's probably answered my second question, which is about the facilities in the station. If he's anything to add, that's okay. If he hasn't, I think he may have already answered it all.
There's a few more details I can provide the member if he so wishes. The station provides a public facilities such as retail space, safe, secure cycling storage, around 70 spaces and connections to existing cycle infrastructure. A Belfast bike station delivered as part of Phase 2, a new passenger footbridge between platforms, a bus turning circle at the front to facilitate connectivity, especially for local schools that use the station on a daily basis, and increased passenger platform width to reduce congestion at peak times. So as the members can see, it's not only a facility built in terms of use for railway passengers, etc., but there's connectivity with other forms of transport, whether that be other forms of public transport or other forms of active travel.
Call Neil McCosker for supplementary.
His answer so far. I just want to inquire whether the Minister has given any considerations to funding. I understand it's under the remit of Communities Public RAM, but given the impact that this station has on connectivity to Sailortown, is the regeneration of the tunnel link for pedestrians. I think it's important that both departments work in hand when the projects are completed.
Minister.
I have no details in front of me, but I'm always happy to work with other departments and try to use our joint resources to improve, whether it's this environment or facilities for local communities. Obviously, the York Street Junction area will also come into play at some stage in this area, and we have done significant work in relation to placemaking around that as well, and ensuring that we're not simply imposing infrastructure on communities, but we're also working with communities to ensure that their rights and entitlements are taken into place, and we can improve the environment around them as well, even though we're placing quite significant pieces of infrastructure in and on their communities.
Paul Philip McGuigan.
The head of terms for the Causeway Coast and Glens growth deal was signed on the 24th of April. As the lead government department, we recently approved this Council strategic online business case for the Portrush to Bushmills Greenway, and I am pleased to see that the project was included in the growth deal. The Council will now begin to work on the online business case, and my officials look forward to engaging with them on this exciting project.
Philip McGuigan for supplementary.
Given the location along the north coast and the fact that it's linking two tourist towns of Bushmills and Portrush, obviously this is a great project for tourism, but does the Minister agree with me that beyond tourism, this greenway will provide many benefits to the local community, including improving quality of life?
Minister.
Without doubt, we know that providing opportunities for people to be outside and physically active has many benefits, especially for people's physical and mental health. Walking, wheeling, cycling are easy ways for people to build activity into their everyday lives, and when we're able to provide them with first-class facilities, then it encourages more people to do so. So I've no doubt this will be a great tourist attraction as well, but also, as equally as important, it will be of benefit to the local community as well.
I call Paul Frew.
Given this is a very important project, the Greenway, and given that it's a linear route from Portrush to Bushmills, can the Minister encourage TransLink to ensure that when it's up and running and operational, that their buses will be fitted so that cyclists and walkers can place their bikes and their backpacks on the buses?
Minister.
I think it's a very good point, that if we're going to have connectivity between all forms of transport, if we're going to encourage more and more people to leave the comfort and convenience of their private cars. So yes, we obviously have ongoing discussions with TransLink around their facilities and making sure that they're not only up to date but fit for purpose, so certainly we'll continue that.
Call Jim Allister.
This is a joint venture with Causeway Council. What's the ratio of the cost breakdown? Indeed, what is the anticipated cost?
The usual breakdown of costs is around 50%. Let's see if I have the actual details of costings in front of me. I don't have the final costs in front of me, Mr. Alistair, but it usually works on the basis that my department funds 50% and the local council funds 50%. My department also provides expertise in terms of its abilities in terms of delivering large-scale projects, but I'm more than happy to supply the member with whatever costs we have at this stage.
Call Cara Hunter.
And I welcome this update here today, and hopefully we do get a bit of sun over the next summer or so when this project is complete to actually use it. Can I just ask then, in the wider northwest, is there any additional greenways planned to be invested in?
We're working with all the local councils in terms of promotion of greenways. And when I was in this post in 2022, I had my department to take on a greater role actually in terms of engagement with councils and support for councils as to how we deliver greenways. In fairness to councils, delivering major projects, infrastructure projects, is not usually within their remit. My department has the skills and expertise to do these, so I want my department to be working in close conjunction with them, and through our active travel unit, we will continue to be doing that. Greenways can also come up to the same challenges as building traditional infrastructure such as roads, because you're going through significant numbers of landowners' property. Some will facilitate, others will have concerns, others may object. So there is always a challenge, or a chance of a challenge in all these matters. But again, my department has the expertise in these matters which we can share and engage with councils on.
Thank you, Minister. I call Colin McGrath.
Madam Deputy Speaker.
As Minister responsible for promoting and improving road safety, I want to work actively with partners to reduce death and serious injuries on our roads. I believe that the target provision of infrastructure at and near schools can go a long way to making our roads and communities safer. My department utilises a range of measures outside the school to help make their roads safer, such as traffic signs, which can come with flashing amber lights, road markings, coloured surfacing, school keep clear markings, parking restrictions and speed limits. In recent years, my department has installed part-time 20-mile-an-hour zones at 215 schools, an investment of around £4 million. Work is going on to review the effectiveness of these to determine if further part-time 20-mile zones can be included at other schools. My department is also developing an active travel delivery plan, which will include active travel design guidance specifically here. The new guidance is in the process of being finalised and is expected to be introduced later this year. It will include measures aimed at encouraging more people to walk, and wheel and cycle to school. I do, however, need to say that delivery of all this is subject to funding and availability of staff. Thank you.
Colin for a supplementary.
Very much. Obviously, all of those measures are welcome, and they help to allay the fears that parents and indeed children have when they try to go to and from school. But has the Minister given any consideration to the introduction of school street schemes, which can help some of the most intense problems, such as the one that I have in Edward Street in Downpatrick, which would certainly help all of those children and the parents of the children, bringing them to Our Lady in St Patrick's?
Yeah, and the member has raised this matter with me on a number of occasions, and I can assure him that my department is actively investigating this as part of its active development planning, and we are specifically looking at Edward Street to see if school streets is a solution there. So I can assure the member the work is ongoing, and I would be interested even myself just to see if we can get a number of these pilot schemes off and going to see if they deliver the benefits that certainly there's a potential there to deliver, and we can do them in other areas. Of course, all road users, but particularly around school time, drivers of vehicles have a responsibility to act responsible in and around our schools. I've said in the chamber before, if a driver doesn't understand that they need to slow down around the school, I'm not sure what sort of signage will encourage them to do so, but I would encourage drivers to respect other road users, particularly at school times.
Thank you, Minister. I call Stephen Dunn.
Can the Minister provide more information on the further rollout of the 20-mile-an-hour schools programme, given that the last was in November 2022, and indeed recently within my own constituency, one local school, Grange Park Primary School, a young child sadly got injured and knocked down as they left the school. Just can I commit to rolling this out, given the clock is ticking on this from the last time it was introduced? Thank you.
Thank the member for his question. There is a review of the 20-mile-an-hour speed zones around schools has been complete. My officials hope to have with me in a number of weeks, and I will consider it in due course. One of the challenges, and I know every minister comes into this chamber and says it, basically because it's a fact, But one of the challenges is when you're dealing with a limited budget means that you don't have the same resources within your department to bring forward proposals and policies as you once would have or would like to have, and indeed officials would like to have. So that slows the whole system up. It's not even when you witness a closure or a cut to a service or whatever, the whole system slows up. So unfortunately there is a number of projects within my department which I would like to see move on, and I have no doubt my officials would like to see move on. But given the resources, in this case people, to do things, we don't have the resources at hand. But I can assure the member I will move through these as quickly as possible.
I call Connie Egan.
Minister, earlier this year we had a horrendous incident in Northdown where a child leaving school was hit by a car at the Bryansburn Road. What will you do to put urgent safety measures in the Bryansburn Road in Bangor to make sure children walking to and from Grange Park and St Congals can do so safely?
Thank the member for her question. Every incident where there is an accident, a collision, or in this instance where there's been a serious injury, the lead investigation is the PSNI. The PSNI, working along with my department, will look at the entirety of the incident. A report will be prepared, and then if there are engineering solutions required in an area, they will be brought forward for completion at a certain time. Again, they'll have to be prioritised. It sounds awful talking about prioritisation when you're just after reminding me that a young child was knocked down, but they will be prioritised and delivered in due course. In 95% of all accidents, it's worth noting that the cause of the accident is human error. It's not an engineering solution, it's not a matter with the road, it's not a matter with the footpath or the cycleway. It is due to human error, usually the distraction of the driver in some way.
I call Stuart Dixon.
Speaker.
A study of Glenville Road, Shore Road junction was undertaken by my department consultancy partner. The junction was modelled and several options were considered, including signalisation of the junction. Signalisation of the junction, however, does have significant downsides, increasing congestion on the A2 Shore Road for a relatively small number of vehicle movements. It was also a very costly option and will be competing against other equally important schemes for my department's limited funding. In the interim, it is proposed to renew and extend the existing yellow box markings to provide increased visibility. My department will also take forward a proposed prohibit right turn movement on the Glenville Road, a new turn movement on the signalised junction at Shore Road, Glenavana Road. A full design and detailed estimate for the signalisation junction will be progressed as resources permit.
I call Stuart Dixon for supplementary.
Thank the Minister for his answer, and indeed I got a similar answer from the Divisional Roads Manager today to that which the Minister has given. However, Minister, your answer and the Divisional Roads Manager's answer are very localised to that particular area and the number of vehicles. But there was a further accident there yesterday. There's been practically one every day in the last couple of weeks. Every time an accident happens at the junction of Glenville Road and Shore Road, traffic is backed up the whole way to the West Link. There are wider context than just the 47 vehicle turns at this junction.
I'm aware of the increased accident history at this junction. I was actually engaged with officials about these, preparing for question time today, and we were talking through the issues, so they made me aware of the increased accidents at this junction, and I've asked them to look into that matter further. But I accept when you make a change at a junction or don't make a change at a junction, it has impacts further on down the road, perhaps sometimes for several miles. And my department is also aware of that, and officials will look at that matter as well before we make a final decision on how we move this. But the interim measure is going to be the increase in terms of the yellow box at the area. And again, I would urge all drivers to take extreme care when they're out using our roads.
I call Nick Matheson.
Principal Deputy Speaker, question 7, please.
Minister.
Following the adjournment debate on the 12th of March, I asked my officials to take forward a review of the A20 Portaferry Road from Newton Orge to Teal Rocks to establish what engineering measures could be taken forward that may help with road safety. My officials are making good progress on this review. Regarding the speed limit, for traffic speed assessment is currently underway to assess the potential of extending the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit for Newton Orge to just beyond Teal Rocks. A plan is also in place to take forward nearly 1 kilometre of resurfacing from Newton Arch to just beyond Teal Rocks. That will include a new bus lay-by subject to the availability of funding. This resurfacing will be a part of a 10-year plan of resurfacing along the A20 Portaferry Road. As part of the new resurfacing work, consideration will be given to the installation of road edge white lining, verge hazard markers posts and road studs that will help driver visibility.
Call Nick Matheson for supplementary.
And I thank the Minister for his answer, and much of that seems very positive. The speed limit is an issue that is raised regularly by constituents with reps across the constituency. Can the Minister provide an update when that review of the speed limit for the stretch of road in question will be completed, and if he will, as undertaken in the adjournment debate, engage directly with elected reps for the area to explain the rationale for any decisions taken?
Firstly, I'm more than happy for my officials to engage with elected representatives in relation to the rationale for decisions being taken. I think that would be helpful from both sides in terms of that. In terms of when the speed limit will be potentially reduced, the officials are working their way through the process at the minute, collecting information to confirm the availability of introducing a change in speed. If deemed suitable, then a change will need to be legislated for. That will require a consultation process and can take up to 9 months to complete. Now, I personally think in terms of making change that 9 months is quite a significant period of time for a speed change. Now, it is set out in legislation, the process you have to follow, and it's one of the matters I will be examining further with my officials. I don't think it will help this case, in fairness, but I think that we have to look at and see if there's a more effective and efficient way of responding to these matters.
Call Michelle McElveen for supplementary.
For his answers to date. Obviously, the Minister will be aware that this route is also subject to coastal erosion, and I'd be keen to know what discussions he's had with counterpart in Agriculture, Environment and Rural Affairs in relation to the Coastal Erosion Forum, and any work specifically in relation to coastal erosion which may be carried out along that route.
Minister.
My officials sit on the Coastal Erosion Forum, and indeed myself and Minister Muir have agreed to meet in relation to coastal erosion. I hastily add that it's DAERA's lead responsibility, but again, I'm more than happy to work with other ministers and departments to ensure that we're using the most effective use of our limited resources.
I call Alan Chambers.
Madam Principal Deputy Speaker.
Major road schemes are an important part of the work that is delivered by my department as we seek to reduce journey times, increase reliability and improve road safety. In October 2022, I published a placemaker and active travel review report on the scheme and asked my officials to carry out further work on 3 scenarios recommended within it. This work is nearing completion. Due to underinvestment in major road schemes, the constrained budget position, the scheme was considered as part of the prioritisation of major schemes, and further works on the scheme was paused as part of the outworkings of that review. Any decision to proceed with the York Street interchange project can only be made when I am confident that there is budget certainty for the scheme and that its delivery is in line with my department's emerging transport plans.
I call Alan Chambers for supplementary.
I'm disappointed to hear, Minister, about this ongoing delay. This, as you have said, has been on the agenda since 2002 and an executive priority since then. Given that the York Street interchange stalemate has costed the Northern Ireland economy around £1 billion a year, what assurance can we get from the Minister that he is going to prioritise this project?
The York Street interchange is one of the many priorities within my department, and indeed one of the many priorities for the executive. And we are going to have to look at how we can deliver some of these major projects moving forward. I'm currently going through my capital budget, as I said to some of the other members, and hope to make an announcement in the next number of weeks, and that will outline as to whether there's going to be continued movement on the York Street interchange or not. There has been significant priority work done on it, and some of it was absolutely necessary, and I was talking about the placemaking which we have done in that area, because we are placing quite a significant piece of infrastructure on top of communities, businesses as well, and I think it's only right and proper that they have their say in terms of how we move forward with this project. But in terms of whether the project will move forward significantly in the next financial year or not, I'll be able to announce in the next number of weeks.
So, Minister, that ends the period for listed questions. We're now going to move on to 15 minutes of topical questions, and I want to call Mark Durkin.
Agad a friúil leas Ceann Comhairle agus buíochas leis an éire fáinne a phreagraí go dtí seo. Minister, in her recent budget statement, the Finance Minister provided an earmarked capital allocation of £85.6 million to DFI for the A6 and the Belfast Transport Hub. Can the Minister tell us how much of this will be spent on the A6 and how exactly it will be spent?
Minister.
On the A6? Well, there's continuing, obviously, negotiations between my officials and the contractor. As you know, the A6 completion works opened this time last year. There's still ongoing discussions between my officials and the contractor in terms of signing off on that contract, the final payment. That's obviously a significant commercially sensitive engagement, which I can't go into in any further detail. We are also obviously looking at how we move forward with the next phase of the A6, and the member will be aware in terms of the Moy dump site. And we're engaging with the Environmental Agency and others around that to ensure that whatever successful conclusion comes to that takes into account the needs of my department in terms of moving that project forward.
Mark Durkin for supplementary.
Thank the Minister for his answer. The same statement included the very welcome inclusion of the £88 million from the Dublin Government for the A5. Can the Minister confirm if there are any strings attached to that funding in terms of when the money must be spent by, and if he intends to allocate any of DFI's capital budget to the A5 this year?
Whether I'm able to allocate funding to the A5 this year depends on what my position when I make my announcement later on in the summer in relation to the A5 and respond to the recommendations of the Planning Appeals Commission's report. In terms of strings attached to the contribution from the Dublin Government, I wouldn't put it in terms of strings attached, but obviously they will want to be assured that their money is being used effectively and efficiently and for the purpose for which it has been designated to my department for, and I can assure you and others that that will be the case if and when I make my announcement later on in the summer.
Call Andy Allen.
Speaker, can I ask the Minister for an update on his department's plans to tackle obstructive pavement parking?
Minister.
The member will be aware that in 2023 my department updated the legislation in terms of what was considered inconsiderate and illegal pavement parking. That measure has been in place now and includes bus stops, cycleways, crossing areas, school patrol areas, school crossings, etc. It's now a matter for the PSNI to enforce that. There is also obviously the report in terms of inconsiderate parking, which I will take further time to consider to see if there's any further requirement for new legislation or enhanced measures.
Andy Allen for supplementary.
Thank the Minister for his update. Minister, I've recently been contacted by a number of individuals who use wheelchairs to get around on a daily basis, and pavement parking obviously is an issue that they're majorly impacted by, but another issue they've raised with me is their ability to use power assist devices, which enables them to add an adaptation onto their manual wheelchairs predominantly to get around, but current legislation is causing a barrier, and I know one individual has engaged with your department. Would you be willing to meet with me, Minister, and them to discuss this matter?
Minister.
I don't usually accept meetings from the floor, but given the circumstances here, I'm more than happy to do so.
Stephen Dunn.
Speaker, over the last few months from the Minister's Department, in many areas we have had no mow April. We are now in no mow May. Are we also going to have no mow June?
Minister.
Well, the member needs to understand why we have no mow April, no mow May, and we have no mow June as well. And it's not for budgetary reasons. We're facing a biodiversity crisis as well as a climate crisis. My department is a significant landowner, and along the vast grass verges of our roadways and road networks, they are ideal settings for biodiversity to thrive. Now, we have to manage those road verges as well in terms of road safety. I introduced a new policy when I was in this post a couple of years ago in relation to when and how and how often we should cut our grass verges. That has now been brought into line. We are attempting to ensure that sightlines are kept but again we face budgetary pressures around that. But I think when the general public understand why we're doing these things, I think the general public are very acceptive and supportive of it. I was recently visited Causeway Coast and Glens Council, who have an excellent scheme in place for their council as well. They also faced some criticism at the start around these measures, but when the local residents understood why it was happening, they were very supportive of it.
Stephen Dunn for supplementary.
Well, Deputy Speaker, and I thank the Minister for his answer, but does he recognise the real road safety concerns that exist and the need for a proper balanced approach between road safety and also our environment, particularly when sightlines are restricted, as is the case today, not just in North Down but right across Northern Ireland, including along the A2 dual carriageway, the Bangor Ring Road and the Bangor to Ards dual carriageway, making manoeuvres across these very, very busy carriageways and junctions very dangerous for all road users. And I think we can't emphasise the importance of road safety, particularly when we see the very frightening and startling road deaths on our roads right across the country.
Minister.
Road safety comes first. Despite my support for the biodiversity along our road network, road safety comes first. So sightlines will be maintained. If the member has any areas where he has concerns about, he should report them to his local section office to follow them up. There will be challenges for my department on responding as quickly as they once have because of resource issues and challenges around that. But this policy pertains to areas where we can do this safely, but road safety will always take priority.
Call Paul Frew.
Has the Minister had sight of the Bushmills regeneration scheme and then the work on the traffic and parking infrastructure for the town?
No, I haven't had sight of that. It hasn't come across my desk.
Paul Frew for a supplementary.
Minister, for his answer, can I put it on record then, please, Minister, that you will look at it and make sure and ensure that it is a priority for your department, and that also that there be greatest buy-in for the population of Bushmills into the plans for the future, especially around the traffic management of the town, which should have a positive effect, but in some cases has negative effects also?
I'm more than happy to ask for a report from my officials in regards to that matter, and he's absolutely correct. Any scheme moving forward should have should be full consultation with local residents and businesses around it.
Call Michelle McElveen.
Speaker, could I ask the Minister what policies are in place to replace urban trees which have been lost through either disease, storm damage, vandalism or other accidental damage?
The Department seeks, wherever possible, to replace trees lost through disease, storm damage, vandalism or for other reasons during the next planting season, generally over the winter months. Where replacement at the same location is not possible, an alternative site will be sought. The maintenance of trees seeks to prevent obstructions to sightlines and signs, ensure they do not become a hazard to road users and allow for the safe passage of road users, as well as maintaining the effectiveness of road lighting.
Michelle McElveen for supplementary.
Okay, can I thank the Minister for his response, and further to that, what discussion has his department had with local councils and other bodies about operating in partnership to develop programmes to replace urban trees such as the Trees for Streets scheme which operates on the mainland?
The scheme to which the member refers to is a non-profit enterprise which runs a national tree sponsorship scheme to assist local councils with the cost of street tree planting. The Department works closely with a number of local councils across a wide range of biodiversity issues, including the provision and maintenance of tree stocks. In Belfast, which is the largest number of street trees, my department has a formal partnership with Belfast Council to look after these valuable assets that enhance the amenity of urban areas, as well as contribute to and improve air quality. My department is willing to consider any schemes or partnerships that will allow the planting of additional trees, and I'll follow up on the member's suggestion in relation to the scheme that's running in England, Scotland and Wales.
Call Jerry Kelly.
John Collian, could I declare an interest as a member of the Policing Board just before I give the question? I welcome the Minister's recent meeting with the PSNI on road safety, especially after some of the terrible losses we've had recently. Can the Minister provide an update from that engagement?
Minister.
As the member says, last week I had a constructive and informative meeting with the police. We discussed how we can work collectively to improve road safety, not just on the A5 but right across our roads network. As a department, we are looking at further engineering measures that we can implement on the existing A5 to improve road safety, and the police are looking at enforcement measures. But I have to say, and I've said this to members during this question time, that we can all play our part in this, and it's an issue for society. In the 6 days since I met with the police, 2 more people have died on our roads, bringing the death toll this year to 24. I send my heartfelt condolences to the family and friends of all those who have lost their lives on our roads. In the north, the death rate on our roads is on an average 1 per week. And if we think about that, there are people, these are people, not just simply statistics, young, old, all beloved family members and friends. Every single week we're losing someone on our roads, and I would appeal to all road users to ensure whatever actions we take on our roads ensures that we arrive home safely and the people we share our roads with also arrive home safely.
Call Jerry Kelly for a supplementary.
With this letter now, I want to thank the Minister, and I'd like to add my voice, and I'm sure everybody else, with the condolences you've sent out to those who have lost loved ones. When can we expect, on the basis of that, when can we expect the road safety strategy?
I hope to bring the Road Safety Strategy 2020-30 to the Executive in the coming weeks for its clearance and support. Thereafter, and once the outworkings of our budgets for the Department and our road safety partners are known, work will then commence on a detailed action plan to assist in the targeted delivery of the objectives within that strategy. The strategy recognises that collisions are inevitable, but does not accept that there should ever result in death or serious injury. By 2030, we aim to reduce death and serious injury by at least 50%, with our long-term aim of achieving 0 road deaths by 2050. An aim to achieve this is by taking a holistic approach to road safety through the enforcement of safe roads, safe vehicles and safe people, and we will do this through a programme of education, engineering and enforcement.
I call Diane Dodds.
Thank you. Minister, you quite rightly pointed out the real tragedy of deaths on our roads. You know that the A1 has been a source of death and accidents for a long time now. Now that you've got your budget, when will you be in a position to announce the promised upgrades to the A1 dual carriageway?
As I've said to other colleagues, I'm working my way through my capital budget, and I hope to be able to make an announcement in the next number of weeks. I'm acutely conscious of the death toll on the A1, and I've met with Monica Heaney. I've also met with yourself and your party colleagues around this matter, and I'm doing everything within my power to ensure that that project moves on as quickly as possible.
Diane Dodds for supplementary.
Thank you. That is encouraging, and I know we've spoken about this at length, and it is a really important project. Maybe in light of that, the Minister would like to share with the House what other projects he's considering in the Upper Bann constituency in the short to medium term.
I'm tempted to say all of them. As I say, everything in Upper Bann is under consideration. But without perhaps putting myself into difficulty, I think the major road infrastructure that's required in Upper Bann at this stage is the A1.
Call Anya Murphy.
And I'd like to thank the Minister for his answers thus far. Minister, can you outline some of the benefits of social value in the procurement process of the Enniskillen bypass?
Minister.
The term social value in itself can be, it's hard to understand for the general public. I mean, we've noted that when we write consulting, or my colleagues in the department write consulting, it's difficult to get a response from the general public. And I'm of the view that when you go to someone and say, well, what do you think of social valuing? You perhaps would spend longer talking about social valuing than what actually people will add to it. So, as I say, social value seeks to create positive benefits for residents, businesses and stakeholders through 4 themes: delivering zero carbon, promoting well-being, increasing secure employment and skills, and building ethical and resilient supply chains. A social value engagement has been carried out to capture the views of the community in the Enniskillen area on what additional benefits can be brought to the town through the delivery of the scheme. This input will help the Department tailor meaningful social value outcomes as part of the scheme for delivery by the appointed contractor.
Murphy for supplementary.
And I'd like to thank the Minister for his answer. Minister, I suppose most importantly, when can we expect to see diggers on the ground for commencement?
Yes, so hopefully diggers will be on the ground in late spring, early summer 2025, and the scheme is anticipated to take 2 years to complete.
So time's up, Claire, sorry. I was really hoping to try and get Jim, but he spent too much time talking about upper band. So anyway, would members take their ease until we change the top table, please?